What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. Tyler Hicks is back with me today. Tyler, did you catch any of the NBA action last night?
I did not. I was busy at work, but we're going to find some winners today.
All right, I'll give you a quick recap of what I saw. Travis and I did pretty well on the show yesterday. Of course, Travis joined me yesterday, and we had some pretty good games. Let's see, we were right about. Let me go back to those scores. Sorry, I should have had it pulled up. I had today's pulled up. So the Bucks and the Magic, right? We said stay away. Now, if you cashed a Bucks ticket, congratulations. But I feel it was pretty easy. To say that was an easy stay away game. The game closed at like 14.5, 15. They lost by 17. The Sixers and the Raptors. So, Tyler, I was running good there. Had the +6 or 6.5, depending on when you bet it. And that game came down right to the very end. Raptors only lose by 5. Definitely was running good on that. I mean, hey, cool. It's cool to win a bet. And, it's nice to be on the right side. But I can't say that I actually blew that out of the water. Same thing with my Miami Heat pick, right? That one looked easy too. They're up by like 20-something in the third. Ended up, having to watch the final minute to make sure I covered, but same thing. Got it by a point there. And then the one that hurt, right? We love the Cavaliers. So you didn't see that game at all? They were doing great. Ricky Rubio went down with a non-contact knee injury. Worried he could have like an ACL. I think it's the same knee that he hurt earlier in the game. But you didn't get to catch any of those, right?
No, I was at work. Didn't have much of a TV screen to watch.
All right. Well, yeah, that's why I'm doing this quick one. I didn't watch much of this game, but was not surprised to see the Lakers bounce back. The Rockets looked like they were going to cover for like 36 to 38 minutes of that game, but then they fell behind right at the end. Knicks and Timberwolves, we didn't have a strong play on. The Knicks ended up winning that game, and Kings, boy, they barely covered too after looking like they were going to have an easy one. But the one that I did want to pat myself back on the back for that I felt that Travis and I really nailed. And, the only regret is that we did not take the money line there, the Denver Nuggets. Right. And I texted you, Tyler, and I said, hey, I just don't think they're the same without Draymond Green. Right. And I think that was the case. They almost came back. I mean, the Nuggets had a putrid fourth quarter. Let me pull up the box score. They only scored 29 points in the second half, and they were still able to get the win. So the Warriors definitely turned it on, but the loss of Draymond Green was not helpful. Let us jump into tonight. I'm heading over to Bookmaker to grab the NBA odds, and here we go. The New York Knicks -7.5, heading to Detroit to take on the Pistons. Pistons catching 7.5 at home. Totals 213.5. Tyler, I know there will be no Cade Cunningham. Let me see who else is on this list. Looks like Kemba Walker's questionable. And boy, there's a bunch of people missing here. Wayne Selden, Jericho Sims, Daniel House, Matt Mooney, Nerlens Noel, all for the Knicks. But listen to Detroit, Tyler. Josh Jackson, Saban Lee, Isaiah Stewart, Killian Hayes, Corey Joseph, Cade Cunningham, Trey Lyles, Isaiah Livers, Rodney McGruder, and Kelly Olynyk all out for the Pistons. Tyler, I got to go to DraftKings to find out who's even playing with all these G League call-ups. While I do that, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, not going to overthink this one. Not going to sit here and try and break down all the G League players on each side and figure out what's the right side. Just give me the under. Detroit already can't score points. Now you're going to take both their guards off the floor, plus Isaiah Stewart. It's really just leaving Sadiq Bey out there. Kemba Walker's probably going to rest too. He's been a lot of the offense for the Knicks. I'm not overthinking this one spread. Just give me the under.
Yeah, and just for the sake of fun. So I'm going through DraftKings, and I'm just sorting by positions. Their point guards, Derek Walton Jr., Justin Robinson. I haven't seen any of them play. At shooting guard, they'll have Hamidou Diallo, Frank Jackson, and Cassius Stanley. I haven't seen Cassius Stanley. Diallo and Frank Jackson are actually good solid pieces for them. But, I mean, let's be honest. These are the role players. They'll have Sadiq Bey at small forward. So, hey, he's not bad. At power forward, they have a guy named Pickett, Servetus, and Isaiah Livers is on here, although he was on the sheet that I read from Basketball Monster. At center, Tyler, are you ready for the Luke Garza experience? And, I mean, I got DraftKings up right now. He's got to start, right? I got 3,500, throw him in the lineup. What do you think of these players that I've just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you where half of them went to college. The only one I can name is Luke Garza because everyone knows who he is from Iowa. But I ain't touching any of these guys spread.
All right.
I'm going to score like 80 points.
I've been doing a lot of lineups, so like 3 or 4. So, and you know what sucks? I got to stop tinkering with them If I would have just left the one that me and Mangone did, but I was trying to adjust with the news and everything as I'm watching the final countdown, I went away from a couple good guys we had on there. Like he had suggested Franz Wagner, and I took him out. And then just the original core we made was so much better. That's my mistake though, and that's where you get signed up. Sometimes I think you can overthink this DFS stuff. You always have to adjust to the news, of course, but I actually like some of the times where we don't overthink it and we use the core from this show and just let it rock. Let's go to the next game. The Charlotte Hornets are plus 3.5, heading to Indiana to take on the Pacers minus 3.5. Total 227. Tyler, you see some of these totals starting to creep back up, right? As these players have adjusted and aren't just driving and throwing their hands up and getting the instant turnover. Not a huge injury report here, right? So Charlotte missing Scotty Lewis, PJ Washington, and Miles Bridges, but those guys have been out for the last 3 or 4 games. Jeremy Lamb is back for Indy, and Malcolm Brogdon is questionable. Brogdon's missed the last couple games. Maybe he's back with the questionable tag. You might get a full-strength Indiana here, but, I mean, does anyone want to bet on Indiana anymore? I mean, maybe I'm just on the wrong side of them, because obviously they've won games and won games against the spread, but I just have no interest in backing the Indiana Pacers unless it's like dire circumstances. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this game, if Brogdon plays, I'll gladly take the Pacers here because I think the big men will be able to do their job. He'll be able to handle the guards for Charlotte. But if he's out, I'm just pretty much staying away from this game because I could see LaMelo Ball and Rozier just having their way with that Indiana backcourt at that point. You figure he's one of the better defenders. He probably takes one of them out of the game and just slows everything down for Charlotte. So he plays, give me Indy. He doesn't, staying away from the game.
All right. Yeah. For me, it's Charlotte or pass, but I will happily pass. This line's moved against me since I bet it this morning. Los Angeles Clippers are now plus 6.5. Boston Celtics minus 6.5. Totals 211.5. So Tyler, I wrote about this one. I bet this one myself. I haven't made it a sheet play yet though, because I can't trust the Boston Celtics. Let's look at everybody who's out because I mean, how can you handicap the NBA without doing that nowadays? Moses Wright, Isaiah Hartenstein, our guy Brandon Boston Jr. is not going to play tonight. No Reggie Jackson, no Jay Scrubs. So Scrub will be replaced by another Scrub. Nicholas Batum, all out for the Clippers. And then, of course, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard still not playing either. Dennis Schroeder, Jason Tatum, CJ Miles, Freedom Cantor, Bruno Fernando, Aaron Nesmith, all out. Marcus Smart, questionable. Josh Richardson is back. At 5.5, I like the number. But then again, do I really trust the Celtics, right? I made the same spiel against the Timberwolves the other night, and then they blew it. They were up by big, and they fell. And I think the difference here tonight is I really think the crowd had a lot to do with that. Dude, Jalen Noel did this jam in the fourth quarter. I mean, the place was so hype. I mean, when you're G Leaguers, or, he's not a G Leaguer, right? But when you're unheralded guys are throwing down dunks like that, it definitely fires up the building and can be demoralizing to the opponents. I think Boston will get some of that home court effect tonight. They got to be feeling some pressure, man. 16 and 18, not what we expected from the Celtics squad. I like Boston here. What are your thoughts?
There's another one. Looking at this injury report, I see all the offense left for the Clippers on that injury report pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I see everybody not named Jaylen Brown on the Boston side on the injury report. So I'm not going to overthink this one. I'm not taking a side. Give me the under.
All right. Tyler likes the under here.
I just can't bet on these G League guys to win a game spread. So I'll gladly take an under with them, though.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. The other thing I noticed, though, is a lot of them do play like kind of AAU style where they can all score off the dribble and they just don't defend each other. And that would be my only concern there. But, I mean, this seems to be – it's just so weird. Everyone, this is tough. But, I mean, honestly, I'm just going the square route and I'm just fading the teams that are completely depleted, Yeah,
that's definitely the route to go.
Yeah, I mean, Paul George was doing so much for this team, right? There's a reason that you liked him to be the scoring champ, right?
Yeah, and now he's out. So it's like, Now what do you do?
And so, and then you're like, oh, okay, we'll get Reggie Jackson and Terrence Mann. But it's like, okay, if I can focus my defense on Terrence Mann and he's your number one option, I don't know. Zubac, I guess, can have some success, but Robert Williams is going to be out there tonight. I mean, how about this? It's Brad Stevens running the show there, right? If you guys do not cover the spread tonight, just blow it up because that's just completely unacceptable. There's no way they should not cover this game. The other thing I like is fading these West Coast teams when they have to travel all the way to the East Coast on their first game there before they have adapted to the new time zone. Los Angeles Lakers plus 5.5. The Grizzlies. Wow, the Lakers taking some money. I'm actually not surprised there. Grizzlies minus 5.5. I've gone back and forth on this game about 3 times, Tyler, since the number came out. My original thought, take the Grizzlies. Then I thought, you know what? Lakers probably keep this close. They're not going to get blown out. LeBron's still the best player on the floor. I mean, they played pretty poorly against Houston last night, still managed to get the victory at the end by making that late surge. Then I started thinking, this is a tired Los Angeles team. How much do they really care? Now, starting talking myself back into Memphis. Model's cool to run, but you can't really trust it right now. I don't know, Tyler. I'm wishy-washy. Help me out here.
Yeah, I mean, small lean to Memphis, just because this LA team, it's LeBron or bust. John Morant should have his way with Russ because Russ ain't playing much defense nowadays. Mm-hmm. So small lean to the Memphis side, but I'm not landing this game. I'm going to stay away. I like the other spots better on today's card.
Yeah, I actually haven't bet it yet.
It rubs me as one of those games where, like, Memphis should cover, but LeBron also has nobody on the other side that's really going to guard him. So he might just explode for 40 here.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. I think even if they explode for 40, they could lose the game straight up. I haven't done it yet, but you know how we like to tease on the NFL show? If we were to do like a money line parlay, like I would say, hey, this is a nice leg here at minus 227. I just think they get the win. I think the number's pretty close to being right because I don't know. Can you see the Lakers just getting blown out here? I mean, I guess, but I don't know. This team's still got a lot of pride, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think they still got a lot of pride. They're kind of just hanging around the playoff picture right now. We'll see if they try and kick it into gear late, but as of right now, they're just kind of in autopilot mode.
Yeah, I mean, and we look at this team. I talked about it yesterday with Kent Bazemore. Oh, Wayne Ellington's back. That's huge. He's actually, and you'd say, how was Wayne Ellington huge? I mean, simply because he's actually a good defender, and he's actually young and athletic, unlike some of these other guys that are running out there. Kent Bazemore is another one that I think actually means more to this team than people think. So, yeah, number seems about right. Like I said, I think Memphis does get the win, though. Maybe a square money line parlay. As we keep talking, maybe we'll find a spot to add them. The Atlanta Hawks are plus 8.5, heading to Chicago to take on the Bulls, minus 8.5. I thought this number was going to be 9.5. I landed at 9.5, and then I thought the market would move it to 9.5. The Bulls closed at minus 3.5 in Atlanta. Let's flip the switch. Obviously, they're saying home court's only worth 2.5 now. I still give it the 3. Call me an old man. But I thought, this line should be 9.5. I thought the closing line was good last time. And the Bulls won on Monday by, I think it was 12 or 13 points. So I like the Bulls here again. Like usually I like to zigzag in these back-to-backs. But, Tyler, it's like Cam Reddish, Trae Young, and Clint Capella. And then the rest of the guys are all G League. I mean, this is the longest report out of all of them. This Atlanta team. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, so
yeah.
I mean, as good as those guys are,
decimated.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Are you going to join me here?
Yeah, I'm laying the 8 with Chicago here. Mm-hmm. Part of me wants to play the under, but then we've seen this matchup go flying over and hit the 240s last game. So I'm pretty much going to leave the full game total out of it and just go right to Atlanta's team total under.
Are you?
Yeah,
I'm a little worried though.
That's the other thing I hate about the NBA nowadays too, spread, is all these goddamn injuries. They never post any lines until like 6:50 and the game starts at 7.
Yeah, no, it's just ridiculous. My concern there, when it was 130 to 118 last time, although those have zigzag there. If you want to do a zigzag, maybe it zigzags to the under. Without Lonzo and Caruso, though, this team just outshoots their opponents.
Yeah, I like.
They weren't playing a lot of defense. They were making a lot of shots, though.
I like the Hawks under 109.5 points. I don't see them getting to 110 with this crew they have out there tonight.
All right. What do you think of Eric Cheng's idea? And what's up, Eric Cheng? Levine over 25.5. He got 30 last time, and DeRozan got 35, or I have those mixed. But no, Vukovic got 30. DeRozan.
No, you had it right. 35 for DeRozan, 30 for Levine, 24 for Vus.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I like that look over. I mean, he took 21 shots last game. There's not going to be a guy to match up with him well out there. Mm-hmm. So he could easily shoot well again tonight.
I mean, yeah. I mean, really, Cam Reddish was the only guy that could defend him that well. But after a little while, they're like, well, we need him on the offensive end. And they didn't if it came in switches or in transition, he had no problems picking him up, but he wasn't assigned to him. I think that's a good one. What do you think of DeRozan assists over? I don't know. DeRozan was working pretty good on the one-on-one. He didn't even need to pass. He wasn't getting reddish either, and he was just taking his move, making his crossover. Nice little mid-ranger. I don't know if I'd play that, though. Huntley does the props a little more than me, and, of course, you do too. What do you think of the DeRozan assists over?
I mean, if you can get it around like 5.5, 6.5, I'd play the over. He did put up 10 last game, so I don't hate it, but not a problem looking at the target today.
All right. Let us move on to the next game. Hold on, I'm pulling something up real quick. All right, I can't wait to see what you have for this one, Tyler, because I don't have anything. The Oklahoma City Thunder plus 14.5. Heading to Phoenix to take on the Suns, minus 14.5. 219 is the total. Tyler, I'm going to point to the game last night, and we said this is tough playing these numbers because your garbage time is going to settle it. You know, who's going to be in the game. And I felt I was kind of vindicated as if you kept – so I didn't have the game on, full disclosure. I didn't touch one of my TVs, but I was keeping track of the score on the score app, and it bounced in and out of each team covering probably 6 or 7 times in the fourth quarter, right? And if you count the third, it was a lot more. Magic looked like they were going to cover at a certain point in this game. So, of course, Milwaukee gets the cover, but – I think there's a lot of gambling if you want to bet this game. There's a lot of roulette, and you're really relying on players at the end of the game to make shots that you're probably not that familiar with unless you're an absolute college basketball junkie. I'm fine staying away from this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm probably staying away from this one. If you had to pin me down, just give me the 15 with OKC and maybe the under, but I'm not betting this game. Very ugly game. Right. I mean, would it surprise you if OKC covers? Not really. Would it surprise you if Phoenix blows them out of the water by 30? Not really. So I don't see an edge in that game.
Yeah, I mean, if we're picking all of them, I'll take the points with the Thunder, but I don't want to put actual money that I earned on there. Utah Jazz minus 7.5 heading to Portland to take on the Trailblazers. Trailblazers catching 7.5 at home. I think this was 6.5 early. Utah taking money, and why not? The Trailblazers are an absolute mess. You cannot tell me, Tyler, that Damian Lillard is 100% because I do not see that when I watch the team. They're also missing Dennis Smith, Robert Covington, Yusuf Nurkic, Ben Lackmore. I don't know if he really matters, but let's list them. CJ McCollum, that's a big loss. And, of course, Cody Zeller, who I think tonight means a lot. You know, he's been out for a little while, right? But he would have been something that I think would have helped. Now you have Utah. Oh, they're missing Donovan Mitchell. Man, they absorbed his loss pretty well the other night. I like Utah here. I got it at 6.5. I still like it at the 7.5, even though it crossed the key number of 7. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this one, I kind of want to lean Portland, but with all the injuries, I can't really do it because they have been a lot better of a team at home. But, I mean, there's no big man on the floor for Portland tonight spread. Just give me Rudy Gobert over 15.5 rebounds.
Isn't that so crazy? 15
it's
and
a
a half
steep number, but he legit could have like 14 at halftime. Like
now you're making me want to throw Rudy in the DraftKings.
He made a comment saying he wants to win them a championship 2 days ago. We know how these guys are when they make comments like that. They try and step up their play. So yeah, give me the Rudy props over tonight on his rebounds, and I'll even take his points.
All right, yeah. They expect him to get a lot of rebounds. He's 9,800 tonight, Tyler.
Yep.
Wow. Give me Luke Gerza at 3,500. Let's go. All right. The next one. Dallas Mavericks minus 2.5 in Sacramento taking on the Kings. Oh, the Kings were able to beat the Thunder last night, Tyler. We were ready to hit the streets for a parade. We beat the worst team in the NBA, and they still almost blew the cover. I still don't believe in this team. And the fact that I'm considering taking Dallas with Willie Cauley-Stein, Brandon Knight, Trey Burke, Luka Doncic, Boban Marjanovic, I don't know if I say his name, Boban, Maxi Kleber, Tim Hardaway, all out, shows you how bad the Sacramento Kings team is. On that side, they're still missing Neemias Queta, Davion Mitchell, and Alex Len. Reggie Bullock returns. I don't know, Tyler, you can't get me to bet the Kings. I mean, maybe against so I said I would take them last night, right? And the idea there was Oklahoma City's terrible, and the Kings had just got called out by their coach publicly. So you probably get like a 1-game bump off that. Okay, they got the win. I think they probably revert to being absolutely terrible because that's just who this team is. But you never know. They did well against Dallas last year. They actually beat Dallas 3 times when Luka played, but Dallas has beat them once so far this season. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird matchup because Dallas is just so injury riddled right now, and same thing with Sacramento. But I see questionable tags on Davion Mitchell, which means he might play. Part of me leans towards the Kings side here, spread.
Really? Okay,
yeah, at home, I think they can get the job done against this Dallas team. I mean, where did that like? Dallas really doesn't have a giant advantage anywhere outside of Porzingis, so it's like I don't really see like the giant edge here. So give me the dog.
I would say the only edge is that the Kings are terrible.
Yeah, that's about it. But it's like how much better is Dallas right now?
Yeah, you know what? And I thought that same thing with they miss everyone, and they went up to Portland and they beat the Blazers in Portland a couple nights ago. I think that was Sunday night. It was like the only game I lost. Really, it's a bad ending to the night. So maybe that's what I'm thinking. Like, hey, these guys aren't that bad. A lot of points put up in that game as well. I'm not going to bet it, but if I had to, I would say the Kings. Eric Chang says that open Dallas -1. I agree with the market, man. I mean, these Kings, it's just really bad. It's just poorly constructed team. 3-point guards, no forwards. Centers are all right. You did a good job at center position. 1 out of 5 is not bad. But that's what I'm thinking about with the Kings. So, Tyler, when you or I on this show, we get them quick, get it easy, get the people the picks. Sign collectibles, Lakers, no playoffs at +210. That's down a lot. It was a lot higher. We talked about that a week ago.
I think it was last week or the week before.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up the standings now. My only worry there
they're like in 5th or 6th.
They're in 7th at 17 and 18. Here's the teams behind them. The Mavericks at 16 and 17, the Timberwolves at 16 and 18, the Spurs at 14 and 19, the Kings at 14 and 21, the Blazers at 13 and 20. They could be as bad as they want. They're going to crawl into the playoffs somehow.
Right. And once Anthony Davis comes back, they're going to get that huge boost.
Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. Yeah. They might not be a high seed, but they'll squeak in.
All right. Tyler, was there any general NBA thoughts you had, since we got a couple more minutes before the best bets?
No, I mean, I'm just waiting on trade season to start, spread. It's getting closer and closer. Yeah. All the trades are going to start happening. I think it's going to be a big trade deadline this time.
I think it's going to be big this time, too. I think Indiana should blow it up. I think Portland should blow it up. I think Sacramento should blow it up. And they'll probably – I mean, I don't know. If you were New Orleans, would you blow it up?
You can't trade Zion right now, can you?
No, but, I mean, you can just basically say, like, we're done. We might as well get a bunch of assets. Like Brandon Ingram's not in your window.
Not in your window. I would trade Brandon Ingram and Joe Bell.
Yeah.
Trade Brandon Ingram for Ben Simmons. Trade the number 2 pick for the number 1 pick that year.
Do you think Philadelphia would do that?
I think it'd be a good fit for him. Gives him a guy that can score off the ball outside by himself. Like you can give him the ball, it's get out of his way, he can score you a bucket. Doesn't play very good defense, so that's the only problem.
I think you can hide that though on that team. You put him on the 3-and-D guy that sits in the corner, right? Yeah, you can totally hide that. He's long enough to rebound, and I think his defense would improve if he wasn't doing everything on the offensive end. Imagine he goes to be – he's probably the number 2 option right there over Tobias, right? But we know that a lot of stuff's going to go through Embiid. He's not going to be as tired. I mean, if it was a better coach, I would say Doc Rivers is going to emphasize defense. Doc Rivers – I think the game might have passed him by a little bit. Hey, maybe you can prove me wrong, but I haven't been impressed with the job that he's done in Philadelphia this year so far. So do you have the playoff picture up there? What does the East playoff picture look to you? Did you see anything wild going on?
We have the Nets at 1, the Bulls a game and a half back of them, the Bucks 2 games back, Heat 2.5 games back, Cavs sitting at the 5th seed, Sixers at the 6th seed, Hornets at the 7, Wizards at the 8, Celtics, Knicks, Hawks, and Raptors fill out 9, 10, 11, 12.
So see, if you're doing someone that's in there lineup to fade right now, I think that 7 through 10 is way better than the West 7 through 10.
Yeah, way better.
So who do you think? So name the 4 that are out of it right now and tell me who you think of those 4. It was what? Celtics, Hawks, Raptors, and who was the last one?
Knicks.
Yeah, so that's 4 playoff teams. No, the Raptors weren't a playoff team last year, but the other 3 were. we expected the Raptors to jump back in it. Of those 4 teams, go through each one and tell me if you think they'll make the playoffs or not. Celtics.
I mean, maybe they win the play-in game and get in. It's the only way they get in, I think.
Do you think they blow it up here? We actually kind of glossed over them, but I don't know. That Brown and Tatum thing isn't really working.
I don't think they'll blow it up. It's just something Boston. They'll hold on and hold on and hold on until like.
But that was with Danny Ainge. He's in Utah now. They got Brad Stevens in the house.
Yeah, we'll see. But I could see them still doing that same thing. You figure he coached them too, so he's going to be like, I really don't want to get rid of these guys. So that's my only worry there.
Atlanta has to. They're in, right? They're gonna.
They'll be fine once they get all their guys back, unless their guys are out for a while and they can't get like their record back to normal. In time.
Toronto, do you think they make a run? Because you got to remember, someone's got to fall out. Like who do we have falling out there?
The Hornets and the Wizards.
Yeah, okay. The Wizards are out for sure, probably. Hornets, probably. Cleveland, I love their team, but if Garland and Rubio are out for a significant period of time, they probably do a little free fall too, don't you think?
Yeah, but if they get the big guys back, I think they can be fine. They're at the 5 seed too.
Who would their guards be?
I mean, I'm not even sure on that one.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking too. So I think they might do a free fall if both Garland and Rubio are out. Now Garland's out for a month, but that Rubio, man, that looked like it could have been season ending last night. Knicks, our guy Huntley says the Knicks are done. I kind of agree, man. I don't see who they take over. Unless, like I said, Cleveland free falls, and then there's another injury that we just completely don't know of, right? Like the Sixers lose Embiid for the year, right? Then maybe the Knicks get it, but assuming those teams stay healthy, I think they are done too. Huntley says Garland will be back soon, so don't overreact to the Cavaliers news. And who was the last team on that list? We did Hawks, Raptors,
Hornets,
Celtics.
Hornets were the 7 seed.
And how do you think where do you think they'll end up at?
They'll probably play in the play-in game again, but I think they lose.
Okay.
I don't think that young team's going to get in until like they have a playoff spot locked up. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to win a play-in game when it's like, all right, now's the time where you got to clamp down. All the young kids are like, what? And then they lose the game before they even realize it.
Yeah,
that's like last year they played Indiana. It's like Indiana has some veterans on that team. You've seen Charlotte come out kind of lackadaisical, and Indiana came out and punched them right in the mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. All right. That's a quick little breakdown. Let's go to the best bets. Tyler, what's your best bet today? Side, total, or prop?
I'm going with that under in the Knicks game, under 214.
In the Knicks game?
Yep.
All right. Sammy said last night was sweet. Just writing back. Let's keep it going as I give out my best bet. Oh, man, the Bulls look juicy. Celtics number moved away from me. Give me the Chicago Bulls minus 8.5. I think they go back-to-back against the Atlanta Hawks.
I get you a flat 8 on that.
Yeah, flat 8. Sounds like a great idea. Is that at DK?
FanDuel.
Okay. That sounds like a great idea. And, I mean, I broke it down earlier, but really, I mean, out of all the teams, the Miami game got canceled. That's why it's not on the list, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because I'd say Miami, that was going to be a disaster, the roster they were going to field today. But that game's canceled. So now Atlanta has to be the team that is dealing with the worst. Trae Young, great player, Cam Reddish, but asking these guys to keep up with teammates that they haven't played with before. I mean, maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they'll do great. But, I mean, how do you even know where to set the picks and stuff? Like, you don't know where your teammates want the ball. I mean, how many plays are they actually going to be able to run? I don't expect defensive rotations to be crisp. The Bulls actually ate them apart in Atlanta. And so I had the Bulls in that game. It was minus 5.5. Then Trae got ruled in. It was down to 3.5. I doubled down. So I'm watching, pretty intently because it ended up being a 2-unit play for me. And it just felt like the crowd was keeping him in it. The crowd was giving him so much. I think in Chicago, without that crowd support, we're going to see a real flat Atlanta Hawks team tonight. Don't expect them to make the same comeback that they did. Guys, thank you, everybody, for watching. A reminder, the show is brought to you by runpurebets.com. Head on over. Use the promo code BETS25 off to become a member. If you enjoyed the show, please like the video. I'm sure you're already subscribed, but if you're not, why aren't you? And, of course, share it with your friends so we can get more people in here. Always love having the chat, especially on the days, we don't have a lot talked about. Sometimes the chat keeps us rocking, because the NBA, I mean, we'll see it in April, right, Tyler, when teams are eliminated. They put the full tank on, and we're all just waiting for the playoffs. Of course, we appreciate you now, but we want to just keep building. So by the time that comes, we're having great discussion in the chat as well on the screen. Tyler, anything else for the people before we sign off?
Nope. I mean, you already hit it. Subscribe and like the channel. We'll be back tomorrow with another NBA video, and we'll have the NFL videos for the weekend starting tomorrow, and then we'll have one on Friday.
That's right. Double duty for Tyler and I the next 2 days. We will be doing the NBA rundown. So remember, NBA rundown tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern. That's to accommodate JSU. Well, you know what? Let me talk to him because there's no Thursday night game tomorrow night, is there?
No, there's Thursday night football is done for the year, I believe.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to JSU. We might go back to 3:30 Eastern. I'll make sure to post it, but that's why, hey, subscribe. So maybe we'll go back to 3:30. If he still likes 2:30, we'll do that because if you watch the shows with JSU, I mean, we have so much fun talking basketball, and there's a reason I bring them on Thursdays with the slower slates. You know, tomorrow's only 4 games, and so we can really get in depth. And if we want to end up, talking about playoffs or how a certain guy matches up on a certain team or what job a coach is doing for 10 to 15 minutes, we can really do that. So that's the closest we get really to an NBA podcast here at Run Pure Bets is the Thursday show with JSU. So we'll be back tomorrow with that. And then, of course, Tyler and I will be doing sides and totals with the NFL. And then on Friday, of course, the NBA rundown, that will be featuring AP. And it's a huge card, and that's what AP does so great. I think sometimes it's hard to get lost when there's 10 or 11 games. AP does a great job with that. And then, of course, the show that really brings in the bucks, Tyler, the one that all my friends ask me for, and that's when you break down the props, and I just kind of run everyone through the card and just bet them as Tyler's giving them out. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will see you soon. Run Pure.